Hi, welcome to Navigating the Truth, and today is July 16th, 2023, and my guest is Jeff Woolwine, and he is the author of Petroglyphs in the Sky, the covered up history of Phoenix, Arizona, and it is an awesome show. So sit back and enjoy.
Navigating the Truth. Brace yourself, listeners, as you're about to enter a world where the narrative is no longer masqueraded as the truth. A world where the conspiracies of yesterday's translate into the truths of today.
Are you listening?
The veils covering the truth are lifting, and understandings once suppressed are finally being revealed. Will you be ready? And now, your host and navigator through these circles of lies, the host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome to Navigating the Truth, and this is Sunday. It is the 16th of July. I can't believe that we're in the 7th month of 2023. Like, what the heck? Somebody turned up the speed dial, and we have only 5 months left of this year. And I would like to thank the listeners who choose to listen in. I have an awesome guest today. He's a return guest, and he is just the best. I'd like to thank all the people who choose to listen in for the hosts that we have, the guests that we have. There is a donate button on the website if you so feel inclined. If you enjoy what you hear, or if you want to join the Dark Vault, it's only, I think it's like $5, $6 a month. It's well worth it. You can find me at my website, souliam.org. Also have a YouTube channel now. Like, it's still pretty sparse. Like, I'm loading up the shows as I do them every Sunday. And the YouTube channel is Caroline Bell Tumblety. And I have Facebook. Don't use it much, but I do check in at least a couple of times a week. And that is also Caroline Bell Tumblety. Forgot my name there. And I am going to read the bio for our awesome guest, which I am so excited. My guest today is Jeff Woolwine, and this is his second time on the show. First time, he just blew it all away, like with all the information, and I know that we were only scratching the surface there. So let me tell you about Jeff. Jeff Woolwine is one of the premier videographers of UFOs in the Phoenix area. He is also the author of The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, Volume 1 and 2, the cover-up of history of Phoenix, Arizona, and they can be found on Amazon. I recommend them. I have read both, and I go back to them. I was actually just reading, like, look, the amount of research that has been done and the amount of photographs that Jeff has taken is just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Back to the bio. For years, it has been theorized that Native Americans saw UFOs and carved images of them in the local mountains in Phoenix. Jeff Woolwine has proved this to be true by matching his video footage of the UFOs to the petroglyph carvings. Jeff also makes a connection between these petroglyphs and the Phoenix Lights. He believes that many of the UFOs seen over Phoenix are actually other life forms unknown to us, and has found 4 hotspots there for observing them. Jeff also tells the true story of Phoenix and the Mayan tombs, as well as gold that still lies buried under the sacred mountains. Jeff has been interviewed on many TV and radio shows, sharing his extraordinary research. So don't miss this local hero of our UFO community as he presents his UFO footage, taking us deep into the heart of the mystery and wonder of the petroglyphs in the sky. And I'd like to give a warm welcome to Jeff.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Time to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So, you have been taking a lot of pictures recently. I have been seeing them on Facebook of South Mountain.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff going on over here. It's not exactly South Mountain, so I'm not going to reveal this place
Okay.
where I'm at right now. But yeah, so let me tell you the story on that. So, where do we start? Okay, so the Tombstone, Arizona, is just had their first annual Paracon, and I was the very first guest speaker. I opened up the Tombstone Paracon with my UFO show.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so over the last few months before that, I've been talking to the city of Tombstone and talking with a good friend of mine, the manager of marketing, Bruce. And so we're talking about UFOs. We're talking about how things are going to go with the Paracon, this and that, and so I wanted to do. I wanted to practice on my UFO show. So what I did is I put together a show, and I wanted to practice in front of people. So what I did was I put flyers all over the apartment complex here where I live at, and I did a practice run in the clubhouse here in front of 30, 40 people.
Mm-hmm.
My neighbors and such, and it went pretty well. It was a smashing hit, and afterwards, my neighbor comes up and she goes, I've been seeing lights flying over the apartment complex now. So I moved to this new place, and I'm my back window. Oh, it's totally weird. It's like deja vu all over again. So in 2005, 6, and 7. I positioned myself in front of South Mountain on the east side of South Mountain, about a mile and a half away. And I did this because in 2004, I'm seeing the Phoenix lights on the east side of South Mountain over this power plant.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you who are familiar with Phoenix, Arizona, there's a power plant bored down into this fault line of South Mountain. And in the summer of 2004, these Phoenix lights were hovering right over this power plant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did many news reports, and the end result is we're all seeing flares. I'm like, no, my research is telling me mountains. These things are showing me where to go. These things are going towards South Mountain. Let's move to South Mountain in 2005. So I did, and holy cow, it didn't take very long, and I started learning about the petroglyphs. I started hiking the mountain. I started seeing these things coming and going from this mountain. I had my camera outside my window all the time. I was capturing some major stuff and just incredible stuff. And I soon realized, that what we're dealing with is something completely different than what a lot of people think. At first I'm thinking, spaceships, technology, little green men from Mars, whatever. Mm-hmm. But as I started watching these things, man, I started learning that these things were alive. These Phoenix lights and these other things here, this is not technology that we're dealing with here. This is some kind of living creature. These are living entities. And so I sat outside my window and I started filming these things, and I couldn't sit there all the time. So eventually I had to move from that area. But within that 3 years, I got some amazing stuff. And that was 2005, 6, and 7. So now we're up here to 2023, right? And I moved to this mountain, and it's not South Mountain; it's a different mountain. Mm-hmm. And I moved, I've been living here in this area for about 3 years now, and I haven't really seen any UFO activity within these past 3 years, up until now. And it's, a lot of people are asking me, well, how do I see a UFO? How do I do this? And how do I, you have to be in a place where the UFOs are hanging out at. You have to be out where these places, these things are hanging out at, in mountains with these fault lines, and especially with the mountains with the spiral carvings. The spirals are the emergence points for these things. Native Americans say that these things are going down into the underworld. In my studies of this phenomenon, they're actually, in my opinion, they're going out into this fault line. It's the energy that attracts these beings to these special places around the earth. and it's the natural energy, and also man-made energy. I mean, I've seen lights hanging over nuclear facilities. So these things, these things are absorbing the energy around the Earth. It's a pattern. We'll probably get into that later. But so anyway, so it's like deja vu. So I moved over here to this mountain, and for the whole time I'm living here in this area, I hadn't seen anything up until I moved to this spot overlooking this mountain, and I'm looking at it now. I'm about maybe 3 miles away, give or take, 2.5, and I can see it clear as day. And so that first year I'm like, hey, this is cool, So that first year I really wasn't seeing anything, because like I said, I really haven't been seeing a lot too much, and I was almost convinced every once in a while, like I would see one, maybe two a year, but it wasn't as heavy as I was, by South Mountain. And so I really wasn't, I'm always ready, but I never really, paid attention to this mountain. For one, I'm on the west side of this mountain, and most of these things gather on the east side of certain areas. And so I'm on the west side. I'm like on the back of the mountain. So I wasn't really expecting to see a lot. There are some petroglyphs maybe on the other side of this mountain. My wife and I has gone and checked it out. We've actually seen there's some Indian ruins out there on this mountain. So yeah, I've explored this area, but I really and the position that I'm seeing now, the mountain that I'm looking at now on this side, it's all rocky. There's no trails there. I mean, there's no way anybody can get up there. So I'm thinking, yeah, right. So anyway,
wow.
Yeah, so anyway, my neighbor is like, you know what, for the last couple nights, I've been seeing this light going over the apartment. And I'm like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll keep my eye out. And so one night, I'm outside of my front porch, and I'm talking to Bruce, talking about the Paragon and Tombstone, and setting things up, getting stuff ready. And this is like 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock at night. And I look up, and lo and behold, what do I see? I see this white light and a little red light under it, right? And it's making no noise. It's silent. And it's going right over my head. And I'm like, I couldn't run and get my camera because, I'm talking to the city of Tombstone here. I can't really do it. This is, I can't really tell. Can you please hold, please? And let me go. So I just sat there and watched it, right? And I watched it, and I went to this other side of this mountain on the other side of this other mountain, way off there in the distance. And when I got to that mountain, it sped up. It took off right. It sped up. It took off. And I'm like, okay, that's nuts. Okay, now, my neighbor was right. There is something here. So now's the time to, to watch. And so every night I'd go out there with my camera, and lo and behold, I picked up a few, I've been filming a few lights. And sometimes they'd go across the apartments. Sometimes it would go in the opposite direction. And then I caught this one that was heading right towards that mountain. And see, in 2004, 5, 6, and 7, the technology then and my pocketbook couldn't afford good equipment. Yeah, but now things are different, and I'm pretty much, I'm able to get better equipment, let's say. And so I have over the years, right? So I picked up a night vision camera, and I got a good telephoto lens for my video camera. So I'm set now, right? I'm ready. I'm a lot more equipped than I was back in those times. And so, so I filmed this light coming over the apartment, and then I ran to my back window, and I turned on my night vision, and I filmed this light going down on the mountain over there.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the heck, man? So that's on YouTube and that's on Facebook.
Yeah, so cool.
And right, so for the past, oh my gosh, so for the past 4 months, I've been dedicating myself to watching this area, and there's like I call them like ghost spirit lights. Now I've been seeing these lights. I noticed these lights on South Mountain. Like I said, this is like deja vu. I'm repeating this. I'm in front of this mountain, and I'm seeing these ghost lights on the mountain on this new mountain. And once I leave from this area, I will reveal on what mountain and what area I'm living at now. And but not at this time. But so I remember seeing these ghost lights on South Mountain, the exact same thing, right? And you know, there was a time where we were coming back. My wife and I were coming back from Tombstone, and we parked off way far away. And I was looking towards that mountain. Someone was catching my eye on that mountain, and it was these lights. Again, you know, I was seeing these lights, the same type of lights that I was seeing in South Mountain. And so I'm seeing them way far out. I'm seeing these lights. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? So there's something here. So you know, and these things are very elusive. I mean, they don't show up like every night. And so I go out there and I'm waiting, nothing. So I'm like, okay. And then I started seeing the lights coming over the apartment. And so I started watching again. Lo and behold, like the first ghost spirit light I saw that I captured on my infrared camera was this one like little red or blue light or something, was way out there in the distance, and it was moving. And the more study I did on it, I narrowed it down on where it was and how it was there, and there's just no way that this was a car or a person or a bicycle or anything, because that's all rocky mountains out there, right? So I knew that was something. Well, over the months, I've been seeing this light on the top of the hill. Every once in a while, it'll flash, and sometimes you can only see it through the night vision camera, and it's totally weird. And it's interesting that like no one else is seeing this, is because, well, they're not really paying attention. They don't know that they're there, and that's how they're getting away with this stuff. So you really have to pay attention on things. All of a sudden, right, there's like this slope out here, this huge mountain slope. And every once in a while, I'll see lights dancing on top of that slope. And in my perspective, like, there's a building in front of me, and it's just, this is the worst. I mean, I barely see the top of that slope, but enough to see the lights on top of it. But when they go down the slope, there's a building and there's some palm trees in my way. So I've been investigating that area for about a couple months now. Cool. And I narrowed it down. I found out what slope it is. I did a Google Earth video on that. I even went out there and took some photographs and shown the public, this is the hill, you know, and because, you know, oh, it's cars, it's people up there. I'm not trying to tell them, look, there's no way anybody can get up there, right? Yeah. You know, it's just, it's too steep, it's too high. And for one, it's just too hot out here. It's like 110 out here in the desert right now. And so, yeah, it's just crazy, you know. And so I've been waiting. So I found an area, a closer area. So I've been waiting for these lights to come back. And I believe what scared them off this last time is, oh my God, it's crazy. So the last sighting that I got, it's on my Facebook and YouTube. I see a light show up on that hill. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this helicopter flies in, right? Wow. And that light disappears. This helicopter comes in, and he, like, sees that light, man, and the light goes away. The helicopter kind of circles there, and then he swings way out, goes way away from that hill. The light comes back, and the helicopter zooms back over there again, circles that area, light goes away. Helicopter kind of leaves. That light comes back, and finally, I guess it spooked the helicopter. I don't know. Maybe there are houses out there on the bottom of that hill, like right there in that area. So I'm sure he didn't want to cause too much of attention, and I believe that's why he didn't shoot his spotlight if he did have one, not his light. But I just confirmed, right? It confirmed that was something, and that helicopter finally saw it. So, that's what I've been doing for the last few months. Is I'm I'm at a new place, a new mountain, and I'm seeing pretty much the same activity. Now it's not as good as South Mountain, because South Mountain, holy cow, I'm on the east side. There's tons of petroglyphs there. There's tons of anthropomorphs. There's tons of storytelling on the east side of South Mountain in Phoenix. And, that mountain is older on the east side than the west. And, when you look at the Native American folklore, the east side of these mountains is always sacred. And because it's oriented towards the morning sunrise, the equinox and the solstice, and we can probably get into that later. But so the east side is the holy area, and it's because that's where these things are coming and going from, right? And that's where all the stories are. That's where the petroglyphs are. So they're coming from that area.
Right.
And so during the daytime, I'm capturing these things, and that's when I in 2005, 6, and 7, and that's when I finally realized that this is not technology that we're dealing with. Technology, UFOs, aliens, that's all fine and dandy, but I think there's also something else here that is being either overlooked or just not talked about, because everyone's looking for spaceships. Everyone's looking for craft. Everyone is looking for technology, and this is something different. The petroglyphs do not talk about spaceships. The petroglyphs do not talk about little gray aliens. The petroglyphs are talking about something completely different.
Right. And it's intelligent. It has to be, it has to have intelligence. Like for it to be, it shapeshifts for one thing. There seems to be more than one type. And it feeds like energy. It's attracted to energy.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
This is intelligent.
And the more I was studying South Mountain and the petroglyphs, I was calling in Native American shamans to teach me the petroglyphs. I've talked to a lot of Native Americans here. And a lot of them, most of them won't go on camera. They'll talk to me about it, but they don't want anything, to do with it as far as publicity. As a matter of fact, when I had this theory about the petroglyphs having some kind of connection with the Phoenix Lights, I believe that everything happens for a reason. I really don't believe anything is coincidence. So it just so happens that I'm there, and then, I'm getting ready to do my investigation work, my field work on the UFOs. And, look at it. So 1997, the Phoenix Lights happened. And no one is talking about the history of Phoenix. No one is talking about the petroglyphs on the mountains. They just have these wild, far-fetched ideas on what these Phoenix Lights is. And no one's really looking into anything else. They're just putting the story out there.
Yeah.
And they're not doing their research. They're not doing their history. They're not hiking the mountains. They're not, looking in the Phoenix Library about the history of Phoenix.
I know.
They're not doing any of this.
I know.
Yeah, so they're writing
we're coming
these
up
books.
on a break, Jeff. We're coming up on a break. I'm sorry it's a hard break, but hold that thought. We will be back in 3 minutes.
You're listening to Navigating the Truth with Caroline Bell Tumblety, where the truth survives and the lies are exposed.
I just want to assure you that everything is under control. There's been no damage except for some temporary malfunction of the radio.
Come be a part of this awakening by joining us in chat or by calling our hotline at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers, find us on Skype at KCOR Radio.
We're pushing the ultimate frontier here.
Control must be maintained.
More disinformation exposed and the truth discovered. After a word from our sponsors.
1 million miles till midnight. A story of timelines, artificial worlds, simulated races, and the galactic imprint, and the destiny of a blue world called Earth. 1 million miles till midnight, written by Solaris Blue Raven, is a journey through the mind's eye which allows the reader to surf a wave of technological and multidimensional intellect, revealing a bridge between conscious design and the truth. A multidimensional bleed-through awakens the world of artificial intelligence to set sail into the frontiers of a vast multiverse, morphing planets and terraforming ascended worlds beyond the linear programs of a fated race. 1 million miles till midnight will awaken, inspire, prepare, and enlighten one to the many multidimensional states of consciousness and worlds we reside in. With every cell and atom, we are this truth and multiverse. 1 million miles till midnight. Written by Solaris Blue Raven. Available now at Amazon.com. Don't wait. Get your copy today.
1, 2, 3, 4.
To the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
I love the way it sounds.
Love the music. I listen all day.
The future of radio is here and now.
Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie, featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government does not want you to know about, at least not yet. Alien Deceptions by Tina Marie. Available now at Amazon.com or get a signed copy at TinaMarieEntertainment.com. Get your copy now.
Change your frequency, change your life with the Lemurian Plug. The Lemurian Plug is easy to control, simple to set up, and wireless. It helps to neutralize toxins and has restorative frequencies for healing. It also helps to protect you and your family from EMFs. The Lemurian Plug is energy efficient and designed using ancient technology for a superior design. One unit can cover up to 1,000 square feet. This life-changing product is reasonably priced. And isn't your family's health worth a small investment? For more information on the miraculous effects of this plug or to purchase the Lemurian Plug, visit thelemurianplug.com. That's thelemurianplug.com. The Lemurian Plug is like nothing you've ever experienced. Order yours today.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas' #1 source for talk and new music.
How cool is that?
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Navigating the Truth, the one show that peels back the masks of the elite and exposes the truth we're not being told.
Here to warn you.
You must not abuse the power you've been given. Eventually, you will lose control of that power and the whole world will suffer.
Come partake in the awakening by calling the show at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Give us a call now.
Those around the world, connect with us on Skype at KCOR Radio. Follow us on Twitter at KCOR Radio or use hashtag KCOR. Come engage in the discussion live in our chat room at www.kcorradio.com.
Our survival depends upon it.
Now, back to examining the narratives and uncovering the truth with your host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety. Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome back to Navigating the Truth on this lovely Sunday. I hope you're enjoying your day, and I want to thank the listeners who have chosen to listen in today. I have an awesome guest. I have Jeff Woolwine, and right before the break, Jeff was telling me how nobody had actually connected the petroglyphs with what was being seen in the Arizona skies. So take it away.
Yeah, so over the years, way before, I love archaeology. I'm an amateur archaeologist, years before I became a ufologist. And so I love history. I love the Native Americans. My adoptive mother loved the Native Americans, so I was kind of brought up in that culture. I've met a lot of shamans and priests and elders growing up in my lifetime. And, but it never really dawned on me exactly, the scale or this type of information on what they were saying. Let me take it back to when I was in the 5th grade. So I've been seeing these things in the sky ever since I was a kid. I remember playing football with my dad, catch football, and there'd be this orb in the sky, and I'm like, what is that? My dad just said, I don't know what it is. This is, I see these lights over the house, right? And so the next morning, I went to school, and it just so happens one of my friends was a little Native American boy, and I'm like, dude, did you see that light last night? He goes, yeah. He goes, my grandfather says that those lights live in that mountain over there, and he points to the west side of Phoenix, Arizona, to the White Tank Mountains.
Wow.
And just being a kid, you just kind of blow it off. You don't think about it, up until now, right? So, and you're investigating this stuff because you've been seeing them all your life, and that's the reason why we're talking today is because I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on. Why am I seeing these things in the sky? It got to the point where it was so much that I had to find out what was going on, man. I just so I started reading books, I started investigating, and all my information, all the credible stuff that could be verified, and I'm talking, not only ancient scrolls and texts and stories about things coming down to Earth. Interacting with people has been written, 3,000 to 7,000 years ago, right? That's what I'm, interested in. Not these new stuff, or we won't get into it, but stuff that can't be proven because if we're gonna go out, if we're gonna go do something, we're gonna get the information. We're gonna make sure we're gonna cross our T's. We're gonna dot our I's. We're gonna make sure we know what we're talking about, right? Before anything. So. And so in 2004, now's the time. So I remember before that, before 2004, there was a guy out there named Tom King, and he was filming the lights on the east side of Phoenix in Mesa, right? And he was making the news, and I've been following him, and so I knew that the lights were mostly hanging out on the east side of Phoenix in Mesa. And so one morning when I'm getting my son ready for school, I turn on the TV, watching the news like every morning, and I just barely caught the end of this news report that the news helicopter filmed. This is at the beginning of the summer of 2004. He says that the news helicopter filmed a string of lights right there where we were talking about behind the show during the commercial break by the Australia Mountains. Now, that's the exact same area where the 1997 Phoenix lights happened at. It was right there in that area. And so this helicopter got some great footage. And I'm like, now is the time. Now is the time to go. And so I knew, like, even though the lights were over there on the west side, I mean, Tom King was hitting them, man. Boom. He was hitting them. Bam, bam, bam. There was a lot of activity on the east side. So much on the east and the west. So I just figured, I'm gonna go to the east side. And prior to me moving and finding a place, over there, like I said before, I don't believe anything is a coincidence. I believe everything happens for a reason. And what happens? What happened? I turn on the TV, I'm watching the public access channel, and here I see a Native American who works at an Indian museum, the Pueblo Indian Art Museum. He's an elder. He's a leader. And what is he doing? He's up there on South Mountain, and he's talking about the petroglyphs to some people. And one of the persons turned around and said, this stick figure man looks like he's looking up at something in the sky. And he was quick to turn around and say, yes, that is part of our interpretations here, is that our ancestors saw and recorded things in the sky on this mountain. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what? You're kidding. Wait, let's hold the phone here I'm looking and this light bulb just goes off on my head. I said, wait a minute, we have strange lights in the sky. Now I have strange carvings on the mountains, right? There has to be a connection. That's it,
Right.
And so I keep that information in the back of my head. I knew how to contact this guy. I knew his name. So I kept all that information, but right now it's time to chase the lights. We're chasing the lights. We're on a mission. They're on the east side. Let's go. So I move out there, and it didn't take long. I kind of knew the direction to look. I kind of knew, what area to look at because, I'm following other sky watchers. And it didn't take long. I saw these two orange, amber, red lights. They appeared to the left of me in the sky, and they appeared on the east side. And in my position, where I'm sitting at now in Mesa, South Mountain, the east side of South Mountain is now to the west of me. So these lights are appearing in the east, and they're moving. They're moving slowly towards South Mountain.
Wow.
I got that on film. That was my very first, sighting. So over the months of the summer, I try to get closer. And I finally end up at Mesa Community College, and they had a set of bleachers, and I climbed these set of bleachers, and I could see the whole city. And they were, it was an auditorium it was an outside auditorium where, they played football and stuff like that. And so the bleachers were high above, and I could see everything. And lo and behold, man, those lights appearing right in front of me and was hanging out in this certain spot every night. Well, not every night, but almost every night. And it was great, man. We're getting lightning bolt formations. We're getting triangle formations. I mean, it was a heck of a light show. It was spectacular, and I'm getting all this on film. It was great. It was like one of my best times of my life. Watching something that was really unexplained. I mean, because like airplane flares, right? You see the airplane, you see them dropping the flares out. You see the smoke, you see the parachute. These flares don't last very long. They certainly don't stay in a pyramid formation for more than 10 minutes. These things burn out fast, right? And that was the cover up. We're all seeing flares.
Yep.
And so I'm filming this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? There's got to be other people seeing this. So I contacted the news. It took them a while for the news to get back with me. But, yeah, other people were seeing them, so they finally contacted me. And I did like 4 or 5 news reports. And the end result was we're seeing flares in Tucson 150 miles away. And this is what it is, and that's what it is, and that's the end of it. And this is like at the end of the summer. And I'm like, that's crazy, man. These lights are right here. They're right there next to South Mountain. They're not 150 miles away. There's no airplanes dropping them out. Oh, by the way, there are airplanes watching these things. As I started to learn and watch the skies, especially after I made the news, right? Because it gave my position away. It gave when I went public with this, it gave my information away. It told everybody where I was at, what I'm doing, and where they're at. And when I did that, it alerted these airplanes, these little white Cessna airplanes, it alerted these guys to where I'm at, and because they're seeing them too. Yeah. And it was crazy because I would see these lights appear, and these airplanes was waiting for them. There's 2 little airplanes. And they'd circle high, thousands of feet up. You can barely see them, right? But they're there, and they'd circle. So as these lights appear, these airplanes would zoom in after these things. Now, at first, I thought they were like, hey, they're checking them out. This is great. I soon learned, and by watching this pattern, that they wasn't there to investigate them. They wasn't there to check them out. They were there to get them out of the area. They were there to shoo them away like flies. And why is that? It's because these lights were hanging over this power plant, this electrical power plant that boiled down into South Mountain's fault line. We'll get into that later if we have time. But I didn't, at the time, I didn't even know that there was a power plant out there at first. The news, one of the news anchormen, the producer for News Channel 3, he told me, he goes, you know what's out there? And I'm like, no. He's like, there's a power plant out there. I'm like, really?
Thank you for listening to Navigating the Truth with my special guest, Jeff Woolwine. If you would like to hear the show in its entirety, please go to kcorradio.com and you can access the archive for free. Thank you.